I remember seeing Leggett pull a spark plug wire out of a trash can and put it on a car. I said, "Yep, that's good. That'll get you the dealer."
The following program features a bunch of doofuses talking about the automotive aftermarket. The stuff we or our guests may say do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of our peers, our sponsors, or any other associations we may have. There may be some spicy language in this show, so if you get your feelings hurt easily, you should probably just move along. So without further ado, it's time for Confessions of a Shop Owner with your host, Mike Allen.
So, in addition to what Neal's company does, there's also some history there, and we'll reintroduce you in a minute. But Neal, out of college, not immediately out of college, I don't think, but shortly thereafter, started working for my father as a service advisor, and then became my dad's GM, and was originally a partner in CarFix. And so we've known each other for a long time. He knew me when I was a highly questionable character and made lots of poor choices.
Oh, yesterday?
I tried to suck him into my orbit of poor choices a couple of times, but he was way too mature for that. But he knows where the bodies are buried. So we have mutually assured destruction. So anyway, Neal Maier, welcome to Confessions of a Shop Owner. How you doing, man?
Thank you, guys. Great to be here.
Tell me a little bit about your company and what you do, and I'd also love for you to plug your podcast if you don't mind.
Sure. Gladly. So I'm co-founder of Tread Partners. We're a we're a digital marketing agency focused on multi-location tire dealers and auto repair shops. Our podcast is Gain Traction, focused on a similar crowd on the tire side of the world, and we've been at it we just celebrated our 15th year.
Oh wow,
it's awesome. So I would tell you that as seemingly oversaturated as the independent aftermarket is for automotive repair podcast, it is inversely proportional. There's not really a lot of podcasts in the tire dealer space, and of the ones that are there, Tread Partners is far and away the best and most well known and well followed.
That'd be an interesting one to listen to. We sell a fair amount of tires at Wilco Auto Care.
Well, if you're trying to grow your tire business, or you are a tire dealer and you're not familiar with it, you owe it to yourself to go and listen. Neal's probably not the host.
Check it out.
He was smart enough to pass that off to one of his guys. But interviews with successful tire dealers from around the country, interviews with manufacturers, reps. It's high quality stuff. So it's a Gain Traction podcast.
The best part of that podcast was introducing Mike Edge. So early on, I started it. I was the reluctant host, and I make an occasional appearance here and there. But along the way, I twisted Mike's arm into getting involved, and turned out he absolutely loves it. So Mike's a really good host, and I'm thrilled.
I just found it on my Spotify. I'm literally adding it so I can start listening to it, because that would be. We were actually in the region. We were the number one G3X independent Goodyear dealer.
Oh, no kidding!
At one point in time. So I don't know if we still are. The whole thing happened with Goodyear Wholesale and Tire Hub, and I don't know how they track that anymore or whatever. But before that happened, we were the number one G3X in the Buffalo market.
Got it. Regardless, you guys moved some tires.
We moved just a couple units, which is why I laugh when people say, you can't make any money on tires. I'm like, well, sure. Just listen to the guy that's moving 23 units a month tell you how much money you can't make on tires. That makes a lot of sense. Talk to the guy who's moving a couple thousand a month and see how much money you can make. When your tire bill's $80,000 a month, maybe you can start talking about how much you can make on tires.
A really wise guy who Mike and I had the pleasure of working for used to tell us that it was really hard to beat the gross profit dollars per hour coming out of a tire bay.
true.
The money's
There's a reason
there.
that they have the big, beautiful buildings on the high traffic corners, and we're all stuck in the back of industrial zones.
Tires make money. Tires, when we bought our Lockport shop, tires floated that shop along the first couple of years. Without tires, we probably would have, I can't say for sure, but I'm guessing without tires, we probably would have ended up throwing in the towel on that.
My name's Arlene, and I'm with Car Doctors in Athens, Georgia.
Take two.
My name's Arlene, and I'm a service advisor at Car Doctors here in Athens. TechMetric looks very, very good and presentable to the customers because it allows us to actually answer their concerns, bundle everything up for them. I can send them an inspection report. They can visually see what we're seeing, and then I can send the estimates as well. So they can see exactly what we're quoting, why we're quoting it, how much everything is. And then I'm also using it to communicate with my technicians. They'll leave me notes, I leave them notes. Everything is all bundled together in one sweet little package. Makes it very convenient and less time consuming, honestly.
Look, here's the deal. I like to think that I'm pretty good at running an auto repair shop. It's what I've done for 20 plus years, but I'm not good at managing a marketing budget and all the different facets of a truly well-rounded marketing plan. There's mail, there's local advertising, there's website, there's Google AdWords, there's all the different things that go into that, and it's just not what I'm good at. So what I've chosen to do is to buy myself the time to focus on what I am good at while having someone else execute on all of those things at a way higher level than anything I could ever do. That's what turnkey auto marketing does for me. So if you feel like you could use some of that same magic, I'm going to recommend that you go to turnkeyautomarketing.com, get a free consultation, tell them that I sent you, tell them that Confessions of a Shop Owner sent you. You won't be disappointed.
Place, tires make money. And like you said, yeah, gross profit dollars per hour, that's pretty good on tires.
I have a tangentially tire-related confession to share about a total shit show that happened at one of my shops. It's actually ongoing right now.
It's a never-ending shit show.
Yeah, it's just constant. It's just
Great.
Which shit show do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I hear you.
So
it's the same everywhere.
A international professional basketball player. So he plays in Europe and South America and whatever else. So I don't know how much those guys make. I know that it's not a ton, but they also have a desire to grow into the NBA, right? Keep up appearances and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So he brought in his 2016 S600 Maybach. He had overspray on his front radar sensor. TPMS light was on, coolant was leaking, everything else, right? It's got 28s. So, yeah. And get it up on the lift, and we get it off the ground, and the passenger side front tire goes because the ball joint's just about to fall out. Right. It's not one of the reasons that he came in. But it's like, this is fucking dangerous.
It's a problem.
We got to do something about that, right? Now, I wasn't involved at this point, but they sold him control arm with ball joint. It sold both sides, along with the other stuff that it needed, and it was probably $5,000 or $6,000 ticket. And I come in to the picture late last week, and when it's about to be dispatched to the technician for service, and he's like, hey, the old ball joints and the spindle where the upper control arm is held in have all been shaved significantly. Like the stud is shaved off the ball joint to allow for clearance and space for those 28-inch wheels and tires.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have to shave the stud on the new ball joint. And I didn't really hear that. And I was like, yeah, I mean, just make the man safe, whatever you got to do. And then
you heard Monday, it, but you just didn't comprehend it. You were like, yeah whatever,
yeah,
man.
I didn't put two and two together.
Make it happen. Bolt the parts on.
So I'm walking by Monday morning, and I'm like, whoa, holy shit. So the spindle, where it comes up and the control arm comes into it, was shaven so much to make clearance for this 28-inch wheel and tire package not enough material was left in the spindle to hold the ball joint in place for long or through a hard impact. And I was like, well, thank you, Jesus, that we didn't do that shaving. But now we've put a ball joint in it.
Now you own the shaving.
And I said, the wheel's not about to fall off anymore, but this is not safe.
Sure.
And so what do you do? I said, well, don't do the other side, because they'd only done the side that was loose. I said, don't touch the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can charge this guy for this. I want to take a video and show him the before, how loose it was. We already had that video, and here's how it is now. And then show him how they've been shaved.
Paper that I did this job.
Well, no, it's on paper, right?
Yeah,
but
right.
It's like, you've got to go get new spindles and new wheels and tires. I'm not charging you for this control arm job.
Well, you probably have the DVI from before, right?
Yeah. So I can show how it was, and
you can be like,
show,
hey, man, I just got here. I didn't put the job
safer condition now than it was, but it's still sketchy as fuck.
Oh, I hate modified suspensions. I hate it.
Well, there's a difference between a modified suspension and
I don't even like the crap that companies sell that bolt on. I won't name any lift kit companies, but I don't like any of it. There's a reason if I walk out right now that my truck is stock height with stock tires and stock wheels, because everything's garbage.
It's hard to re-engineer a vehicle with a grinder.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, hard to re-engineer.
Especially a vehicle with as much over-engineering as a Mercedes S-Class.
Well, it's all done for a reason. Maybe Mercedes, the financial end with Mercedes arguably may not be, but most vehicles, it's all, if they could get away with using less material or less bolts, they would have built it that way. That's why GM took the bolts away from the blower motors, because they saved 2 cents a car times 1 million cars a year, and there you go, right?
Yeah.
So are you going to give the vehicle owner keys to the shop?
I mean, but what do you do at this point? Am I going to install wheels and tires and spindles and control arms just to get it to a safe condition? And then he's not going to be happy because he doesn't have 28-inch wheels on his Maybach?
I mean,
we shouldn't have never touched it in the first place.
Yeah. And I mean, we've had the same thing happen where we've been involved in things we shouldn't have touched in the first place. Mm-hmm. It's a good reminder every once in a while. So what'll happen now is you'll be safe from that kind of thing for a couple of years. It'll take you a couple of years before you make a similar mistake again. Yeah, a couple of years times 3 locations times a bunch of cars. A worthwhile lesson. Training's expensive, Mike.
This is twice this year now. I've worked on a 6.4 diesel. Shouldn't have done that.
I don't feel bad for that one because I'm not qualified 6.4, but Zeb's a qualified 6.4 diesel. He made $1 million rebuilding 6.4s. So when he told you not to work on it, you should have heeded that warning.
Yeah.
I just play one on television.
So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So Neal, tell me, sorry for the distraction and the tangential conversation. That's just, I don't know if you've ever listened to this show or not, but that's pretty much how it goes. I hope that you don't, because you deserve better.
I've been known to listen. I especially had to listen to Zeb's episode about the 6.4. It does me a lot of good to hear these stories. To brings back some good memories, few nightmares along the way. But
I want to meet all these people that don't ever have anything bad happen in their shop, and it's all pixie sticks, fairy dust, and rainbows all the time.
Those guys are retired.
They're liars.
Yeah. I was thinking what Mike said. Liar! Liar!
So tell me about the journey of Tread Partners, and its evolution over the years, because it was you were targeting independent aftermarket initially, small mom and pop shops, and it evolved and kind of what your sweet spot is now.
So once I left the repair business.
Hey everybody, I wanted to take a minute to tell you about the coaching organization I've been involved with for over 20 years now. Elite. Elite Worldwide, they don't give you a one size fits all solution. They tailor the coaching specifically to you and your shop. They pair you with an experienced coach who is either a current or a former shop owner, and they turn strategies into actual action and accountability and results. Whether it's improving your service advisor's sales, growing your shop, growing to multiple locations, they really have you covered. They've got training for all of those things. Clients of Elite really see results, higher profits, stronger teams, a better work-life balance. If you're ready to take the next step, visit eliteworldwide.com to schedule your discovery session. That's eliteworldwide.com to start working on your business rather than in it. Tell them that you heard about them on Confessions of a Shop Owner so that I get a pat on the back or maybe a box of chocolates or something. That would be awesome. Thanks.
I went to work for a marketing agency and kind of got my fill of automotive for a while and really wanted to do something wildly different, right? I fell in love with marketing, but I wanted to market for all businesses, different businesses, wanted to step outside the industry. And that's was the allure to our group. When I came on board, we were already up and running. And at that point, had built tons of websites. We'd worked for everything from dentists to manufacturers. So I worked in that world for several years, but along the way, we always had some automotive clients. And the more we kept talking about it, Dave, my business partner, Dave and I kept just leaning back on our roots, which both of us came from the automotive aftermarket. Dave owned a couple of collision shops. I came from auto repair and tires. And frankly, that's just where we were most successful, most comfortable. And through the years, we kept talking about rebranding eventually and just getting back into this world. So there are a lot of agencies that work in the auto repair and tire business both, but none really focused on what it took to serve a multi-location group. And for us, multi-location is 5 to 1,000 locations. So we built the business around that, around taking all the things we learned in the single location side and make it work for multi-location. So we're good at scaling.
So one of the things that I've enjoyed about our relationship over the years, Neal, is your ability to think creatively around marketing and customer acquisition, recapture of lost customers, that kind of thing. I think you've got a mind for marketing, and you're also not stuck in old ways. You're willing to try new shit and experiment. And I've always enjoyed working with your agency, whomever you were working with at the time, since you left Dad's business. What types of things are you seeing right now that are working for your clients that might be able to work for our listeners effectively also?
So, Mike, I really appreciate that, and I think that one of the things that's made us successful is we're always uncomfortable, right? We never like sitting still, and I feel like marketing of all things has to continuously evolve and grow. One of the things we've been working on over the past year or two is thinking hard about the customer life cycle, right? The customer journey, going from I've heard of CarFix to I'm gonna cross that bridge and come in for the first time to I'm gonna be a repeat customer, on to I love this place so much I'm gonna tell all my friends, or I'm gonna go somewhere else. And if you think about it's really a pretty simple process, but if you think about those customer stages, marketing needs to be present at every level. So we've found a lot of success at working to fill those gaps. So if you think about the just the initial stage of I've heard of CarFix, right? Think about social ads and that sort of thing. But on the complete opposite end, what happens when, Betty Smith, your great longtime customer who's spent tens of thousands of dollars, doesn't show up for 8 months? Do you do anything to try to get her back? And frankly, that's been a really big win for our clients, is targeting that side of the business to just get the people who've just kind of gotten busy. It's never an ill will situation. It's always they just got busy, right? They stopped at the quick lube, got an oil change, different sticker on the windshield. That was pretty easy, and now you haven't seen them in a year. So taking those really, we call them your best lost customers. Following them, make sure that they come back is key to maintaining a healthy business.
That's a great point. I mean, we see that happen often. We'll see, we won't see a car for a year. It'll be state inspection time and the thing's broke 6 different ways. And it's like, why the heck didn't I see this thing 6 months ago? And it's, usually because we told them it was going to be 2 weeks before they could get in for an oil change. So they had to go somewhere else. It's usually half our fault, right? So that's a really good point. I mean, really never.
It's just convenience half the time. I mean, they just get busy. Sometimes they buy a new car, but it generally they just get busy.
So let's say that we've got a listener who's a small business, and maybe they don't have the budget to hire an organization like your own or like Turnkey or something like that to track this list down. Most point of sale softwares have the ability for you to review your customer base and rank them and find out who your good customers are. And then you could cross-section that with how long since the last visit, right? And if they spend more than 8-9 months, then you can say that those are lost customers. Potentially, if it's more than 12 months, they're definitely lost customers who have been good customers. If somebody needs to manage that on their own, is it pick up the phone and call them? Is it send them a letter? Is it send them an email? Is it all of those things, or is it staggered? What's your ideal?
Well, one, TechMetric produces a perfect report for this, right? There's an ideal report that will show you spend history and last visit. So I'd look for anyone you haven't seen in 6 months or longer. And then I'd sort them by either ARO or sort them by lifetime spend. And just look top down, and I'd call the most valuable ones, right? I'd just pick up the phone. Hey, this is Neal. It's been a long time since I've seen you. Just wanted to make sure everything's okay, right? We'll just call in because we miss you. And I think just doing something that simple, doesn't have to be complicated. You can leave a voicemail, but just that touch point that we noticed you're gone, that does more than any offer you can present. So that'd be step one. It's all the free things first.
And that's free. Yeah.
Yeah. Step two, email them, right? And most of the systems now will send emails automatically when people go missing, but send them a personal email. Just a quick note, that simple. Hey, just wanted you to know we miss you. Give me a call if there's ever something I can do to help. And then past that, you can move on to direct mail pieces. There's a dozen different ways to go about it, but quite frankly, I think the free pieces have the greatest results.
So obviously, one of my pet peeves over the years with 20 group meetings has been that, we go in and we spend 3 days at somebody's shop, and then we spend a half a day telling them all the different ways they need to spend $100,000 on their landscaping and their, paint the walls and everything else. We don't focus on the low hanging fruit that doesn't cost much that can make them more money. Right. So always look for the things that are free or inexpensive that can help your business bottom line. And so I appreciate that. One of the things that was really neat that we've been experimenting with, and I don't know if this is a waste of time for you or not, if it's something that you can offer a la carte to other clients or not, but was we identified that list of missing customers that we wanted to try to recapture. And we had their addresses already, right? And you had a service where you could go and identify the IP addresses at that home. And then we could start pushing digital ads to them that were customized to "We miss you" or certain amount off of anything or whatever the compelling ad was to come through. And so they're getting calls, they're getting emails, they're getting direct mail, and they're getting digital ads on their YouTube TV or on their device when they're logged into their any device in that IP address, right? So it's kind of is that omni-channel? Is that what that is?
Well, in this case, it's just IP targeting,
Okay.
but omni-channel being we're trying to touch them every possible way, and I think that's really, as an agency, that's where we come in is once the shop's done all the normal things, now let us go after the hard to reach group, right? The ones who haven't responded to the phone calls or emails.
Mm-hmm.
The returns off that are tremendous. It's when we started this a long time ago, we initially put a 10-to-1 guarantee on it. And I'm proud to say I never had to write a check.
Really?
Unlike a ball joint in an S600, I feel pretty confident in what I'm doing. And no, it's netted some very real results. And there's no secret to it other than you're just staying in front of people. Offer wise, we've experimented with dozens of offers, and I think the piece that's had the biggest impact has been going to a $50 no strings attached offer. So you're qualifying the list, right? You're taking all the people out who have the $20 ARO. Right? We don't want the person who just comes to us.
I was going to ask you
tire.
what offer you feel like gets the most traction with this stuff.
That's it. Is that $50 no strings attached, and we have to argue for that offer every so often to have literally no strings, no expiration date. This is a great customer. They're already qualified. You've already done the hard part. You've brought them in.
Yeah,
They've
right.
come to you multiple times.
You get a customer with a $900 ARO, giving them a $50 no strings attached offer really isn't a problem.
No, and if you really miss somebody, prove it. Show them that you valued their business. The interesting part is the redemption rate on that offer is not any higher than the redemption rate on any other offer, right? It's just a couple of percentage points. But the point is you've planted the seed, right? You've put your name back in front, and they begin to come back in the door.
Well, one of the things, and this is anecdotal, but that we noticed when we did that was because these are pre-qualified, known spenders, not typically penny pinchers, they'll come back and not even bring the $50 coupon. Yep. It's just, it rings their bell that, oh, yeah. And they'll come back and be happy to see him. So we'll pull the report, monthly. It's like, well, we only got, 9 of those offers turned in, but of the 300 people that we sent this to, 40 of them came back.
Yeah.
And so some of that is just they came back naturally of their own volition, but you got to think that those touch points put us back top of mind.
Or it reminded them to,
when we had slipped.
Yeah. It reminded them to schedule. They're like, you know what? I really like this place better than the Quick Lube. And it reminded them to just schedule a little ahead of time instead of wait till the last minute or you name it.
Or you could just say yes and bring it in.
Must be nice to have all them bays, Mike.
You got tons of bays.
Yeah.
Lockport's got what, like 12 bays?
No. They don't have 12. No, so they only have 6. No, they only have 6.
You can change oil in the parking lot. Strain it into the gravel.
Yeah.
In the summertime, you've got a parking lot.
Well, actually, in Sanborn, we're backed up next to the railroad tracks. So 3 feet off the back wall is actually CSX's problem. So we could probably do that there. And there's a lot of gravel there, so that'll drain real nice.
Yeah, as long as you rake the gravel every couple of weeks, it'll be hard to tell.
Yeah, I don't know how all this oil from these new 6.2 liters is going to go into the gravel, but there's a lot of metal in that oil. It'll probably sit on top. But yeah, for most cars, it'd probably be fine.
Just roll the magnet through every week and clean up.
Yeah.
So
I wish I could get there, Mike. I wish I could I'd love to have a single freaking 30 bay facility and just not have to tell people they have to wait. I'd love it.
So at the big shop, our dispatcher is also the head of the rack attack team, and she is given to strong reactions to things that mess up the schedule that she has in her head. She's like an air traffic controller for the flow in the shop. And up front, it's like, guys, just fucking say yes and figure out a way to make it work. Give the customer service, make them happy, give them a ride home, whatever you got to do, right? And Wednesday of last week, we had 6 appointments on the schedule, which is really low for us. It's dead for us. And I said, I don't want to hear a single phone call where we're not finding a way to get them in today.
Right.
And they
Can I come pick it up?
Yeah. Yeah. They ended up selling $25,000 worth of service that day on 18 cars. So it was a pretty good day. I'll take that all day long. And Liz was furious all day because all of these cars were coming in that weren't on the schedule and weren't on her radar.
What's the difference?
Last night, yesterday,
everybody's waiting.
It's yesterday at 4:30 we took in a waiter without an appointment.
Yeah, that's fine.
She was beside herself. $1,200 authorization, and gave him a ride home, and
Brian.
And once we give him a ride home, we control the time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Mike and I grew up in a 17 bay shop, and when I've listened to you guys talk about the rack attack, and I've known Todd for a long time, and I've seen it work with some of our clients, and I just think about what we could have done in that shop. 17 bays, there's room, and the good part is we were pretty good at saying bring it on in. I always felt like our job was to turn the building on its end, jump up and down, try to cram more cars in every day.
I remember in the early 90s on Saturdays, we're only open
line
till
at the
noon,
door,
and you get there and there was a line of people at the door wrapping around the corner of the building. There'd be 13, 14 people in line. And on a typical day at that point, this is before Dad started going to Kelly Bennett classes and before he joined R.L. O'Connor and the 20 group. On a full day, there'd be over 100 ROs. And it was, and an 18-wheeler of Goodyears every week would come in and unload in the back warehouse. I mean, he was slinging some rubber. But also we didn't do fuck all when it came to actual mechanical repair. I remember seeing Leggett pull a spark plug wire out of a trash can and put it on a car. I said, yep, that's good. That'll get you the dealer.
That was in the late 90s. We didn't know better, right? It was just, we had all these cars, and the only way you're going to service all those cars was to just hurry up.
I'm counting the cars on the schedule for the Sanborn shop right now.
Yeah, you do pretty high volume there. I was talking to yesterday. I was talking to Taylor Wilson, who is outside of Galveston, Texas, and we were talking about all the different options that are out there for call monitoring and grading using AI tools. And he realized that his store is getting over 4,000 calls a month. And it's not a 40-bay shop with 10 advisors. It's just, I can't even fathom.
We have 41 new cars on the schedule today at the Sanborn
for 6
shop.
bays.
Yep.
Gonna be a busy day.
Well, they can just,
what ARO are you guys running there?
You don't have to fix them all. That's the thing. People get all like, oh my gosh, how are we going to get all these cars done? You're not. You're going to do triage, right? I don't promise anybody a fixed car. They're like, my ABS light is on. Okay. I evaluated your ABS light. You need a wheel bearing. We'll have the part later today. We'll have time to put it on whenever. You name it, right? It's not a big deal. Everybody gets all. I was just talking to another shop owner that just hired a guy, and the guy's a lead tech, and the lead tech is getting all frazzled about all these work orders he's got on his toolbox. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, as a guy who's been experienced in fixing a lot of cars, I don't get frazzled if they put 50 work orders on my toolbox at 8 a.m. Like, we're going to get done what we get done. They're here, right? Once the car's here, I hate using the word trapped, but like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, it's a
Right?
business of managing expectations.
Yeah. You're like, hey, get the
And
car
that's not the
down here.
technician's problem. That's the advisor's problem.
Yeah. Get the car down here. And we're going to work through them as fast as possible. I'm probably getting diags per day. I'm probably going to get through 13 or 14 and do a little bit of mechanical work in there. And I'm going to process this many cars a day, these many, and sometimes they have to sit. Sometimes they got to sit for 2 weeks. This one needs an engine. Well, the engine will be here in 3 days, and we can, it's going to be 2 weeks before I can put you on the schedule to put your engine in. You know what I mean? And then it's got to shuffle across the street to the fleet shop or something like that,
Well, that's also your marketplace, right? Because every market's different. So
100%.
you don't have a lot of high-level competition.
No.
Right. And if you're in, like, Houston is one of the craziest markets I've ever seen.
Yeah, we just had this conversation this week. If I had to fix Range Rovers in Houston, I would probably go out of business.
You'd be busy.
Yeah. Probably wouldn't be that great at it, but I'm pretty good at doing what I do here.
Well, and if I had to go run a shop in Buffalo, New York, I'd last
Buffalo, you'd be
months.
okay. Buffalo, you'd be okay.
Bank account ran out.
Up here north of the railroad tracks, probably not too hot.
I think you can shave spindles anywhere in the country.
I didn't shave the spindle. Okay.
There's that's the other thing. I mean, there's capable shops around. They're few and far between. But some of them guys, they're technicians turned shop owners. They've been around the block, and they're not. I'm not saying they're technician turned shop owners. Like, they run their business. They have good numbers. They have very good numbers. And I have a friend who's a technician turned shop owner, and he is capable of fixing anything I can fix. But like some of these jobs we take on, he's just like, nah, I don't need the headache. I'll just do these other cars. You know what I mean?
What's that
in
old your saying? Experience? You've been in or been involved in or seen the numbers for thousands of shops all over North America. The most successful businesses, how many of them started with a technician mindset versus a business mindset? What do you say?
I think very few started with technician mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and if they did, they pivoted off of it.
Yeah,
it's hard to survive that way. I also think the old adage that the riches are in the niches. Some of the most profitable operations I've ever seen have been very narrow in what they do.
sure.
Now, if you've got 25 bays, it's really hard to say we're going to be Land Rover only unless you're in a market that supports
in Houston.
That's right.
Yeah, right. Sure.
Or next to the dealership.
Yeah, with a big billboard. Yeah. Well, I typically ask our guests for a confession about something that has run completely off the rails at your shop recently. So you can either tell me about something that ran completely off the rails at Tread Partners or something that ran completely off the rails at Auto Protocol back in the day. Auto Protocol is my dad's shop where Neal ran it for years.
So I could probably come up with one of each without thinking really hard.
Can you come up with one at Auto Protocol where the owner's kid came in and really jacked shit around?
Oh,
I mean, a lot of those.
Those are difficult. It's difficult to narrow down. Really, they kind of blur.
He gets a wheelbarrow out of his closet full of notes. Actually,
the car that sticks in my mind the most was this PT Cruiser that came in, and it had check engine light on, and we went back and diagnosed it as an oil sending unit that had gone bad and pushed oil up the wire into the harness.
Pretty common failure.
filled the computer.
Yeah.
And the fortunate part was we were able to diagnose that after already replacing half the engine.
Ooh.
We did a dozen different things along the way before we decided to drain the ECM. So
Yeah.
by the
Did you
time
do a
we,
drain and fill?
Yeah.
so
They still do that. Those Chryslers still do that. I just cloned a GPEC 3 for a local shop, and he hands me the old one. So I called him up and go, "What kind of problems are you having with this?" He's talking about it. I go, "Did you notice all the oil on the transmission plug on this PCM? Because that one side kind of runs the engine stuff, and the other side kind of runs the transmission stuff. It's all one." No, I go. It's probably got oil in the. I go, "This is going to fix your problem, but the new one's just going to do it again. You're going to have to put a solenoid pack in it or figure out what's leaking." Yeah, that happens. I mean, people miss stuff. People like to act like they don't ever miss anything. I stared at the scan tool for an hour and a half the other day on Jeep air suspension because the freaking button was stuck with coffee in it. On that freaking crap happens.
it happens. I mean, no one outside this industry can ever appreciate just how difficult and how complicated some of these diagnosis processes are.
Sure.
I think we kept that PT Cruiser for probably 4 months, and if there's ever one that I wanted to buy and crush, that was certainly at the top of the list. That was
Have
always
you ever bought a car
our
from a
backup.
customer so that you could stop working on it, Brian?
Oh yeah. I have a Volkswagen Touareg Outback with a VR6 in it that I bought because it was going to be. I'm still figuring out. It's a case study car. It's sitting out back, and I'm actually this summer it's going to get towed down to my house. And after the kids go to bed on Saturday night or whatever, that's what I'm going to pick away at. I'm going to figure out a way to prove that the injection pump timing is off without pulling the engine out. Because there's 2 ways to prove it. Invent some way to prove it, or pull the engine out so you can get at the timing on the rear of the engine. And I have no intentions of pulling that motor. But yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think I've told you my
cars.
VR6 horror
Yeah, you had to
story.
buy a known good running one to make sure you had one that ran. Yeah.
Well, yeah, my dumbass sold a used VR6 motor because I'm a dumbass, and this is early car fix days. This is probably 2007, 2008, and after we had 3 of them that never made it out of the parking lot, I drove to New Bern, which is 2 hours away.
And you drove it back so you could pull the engine out?
Yeah, and bought a car
That's
from somebody
awesome.
and then drove it
You're
back
the
to the
man.
shop so that we could.
Mike, I'm laughing at the idea of that, not at you, because I think that if I got in a ringer too much, I could totally see myself doing that. Like I don't know that it'll ever happen, but I can understand how you get there from here. I don't, when you're out in the weeds, and you're just bleeding dollars and you need the thing to go away, the things that you'll do are just not even for the customer, for your own mindset sometimes, right? So yeah, we have some that we've bought. We have a Toyota we put a motor in that we bought because when the motor got installed, the block got cracked. And we were like, we can't put a motor in this again. How much you
Does
want?
anybody want to buy a Maybach?
Best I can do is tree fitty. Yeah. So it happens. Most shop owners you see in these forums that run a supposed pretty tight operation have a story about a car that they've bought. It is what it is, man. It's part of the business. You can't. Nobody's perfect all the time. And if you're running into a situation where you're like, I've never heard of ever having to do anything like what these guys are talking about, you're probably not actually doing any of the hard stuff. That's the reality. If you're getting involved in a lot of hard stuff and situations that are getting past a lot of people, you're probably going to have a situation that comes up that even you can't get past.
I think it has a lot to do with wanting to stay in the community you're in and maintaining a good reputation.
100%. 100%.
There comes a point where it's not it's not a quantifiable, it's not a financial decision on its face anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's what do we need to do to maintain our reputation and not have
Yeah.
this review that would make
Yeah.
anyone cringe.
Wilco didn't get this right, but they really took care of me on this deal, and they made it right. So even when they don't get it right, they still get it right. It's exactly.
There was, Mike will remember, there was a Euro shop in Carborough who had a phenomenal reputation, little tiny shop. And I remember, this was probably 2001. I remember them running a magazine ad in town that said, "You'll never know how good we are until we make a mistake." And that has stuck with me. I wish as a marketer at some point we'd get to run that for somebody.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it, right? Is you won't know. You'll never know how much we care until there's a problem.
And then understanding the perception of your mistake, right? Like there's things that happen that are simple oversight that were not preventable due to XYZ, right? Like I replaced this on a customer's car because this is the code that it had, but that code's a blocking condition for running this other test. Now I have a car coming back. It's the same light as far as they're concerned. It's one check engine light or you name it. And it needs this other component, and the other component couldn't be tested before. It was simply the PCM wasn't testing it. There were no codes. This is a different failure. You name it. Man, 99% of the time, I'm just going to freaking fix it. Because it's a perception thing. It doesn't matter that I'm right. It's perception is reality for them. It doesn't matter that I'm right. So is it further ahead for me to just buy a $300 component and throw the thing on and not charge them labor or anything and be like, hey, this is what happened. I took care of it for you. You're all set. Have a nice day. Right. We do stuff like that quite a bit. I mean, it's not like all the time, but like when a situation like that comes up, I don't know.
You do it when you have to.
Yeah. And that's why you charge. That's why you charge properly. So you can afford to do it when you have to do that.
I was talking to a shop owner last week who had a new customer come in. They'd already been to another shop, spent thousands of dollars trying to fix a problem, right? Didn't get solved, comes into them, and they do a whole bunch of suspension work. And she picks up the car, drives to the hospital to go pick up one of her nurse coworkers, and right out front of the hospital, it spills its coolant guts. So she calls him. He drives over to come take a look at it.
Sure.
And now, they never raised the hood, right? It had nothing to do, but nonetheless, and he told the customer, he said, this is every shop owner's nightmare. Is some things happen. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. But what I can tell you is you don't have to worry about anything from here. I'm going to take care of it.
Yeah.
At that point, he had 2-3 nurses all standing around. So sometimes you got to control perception. But be sure that everybody knows that you are as good as your word. Yeah. So he went back and put a radiator in the car for nothing.
Yeah, because the perception is she just had it at the shop. So she spent $3,500, whatever the magic number is.
Right.
I just spent $3,500. I didn't make it 20 minutes and this car's broke down. What do you do?
Yeah, you fix it.
And that's their perception. They don't understand. If she understood the difference in systems, she wouldn't be a nurse. She'd be in auto repair, right? Like that's the thing. So the perception is the reality, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's the limit of their education and experience on the subject. So you have to, unfortunately, which is very hard for technicians because I'm a very black and white person, right? Like fixed bad. Like I don't look at alternative repairs when I'm doing something. I'm like, okay, this is no good, and we have to put this in, and that's the bottom line because Brian said so, right? But sometimes you get to a point where you're like, okay, how do I handle this? I don't want to look like a jerk, so on and so forth, So yeah, perception is reality with that, and taking care of stuff is a huge deal.
So can I change the subject real quick and talk about training?
Sure.
I'm going to, even if you say no. Brian and I are about to go to Tools, PA, which is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, end of the month. and I think this episode will probably be published just before that. Looking forward to that, and Brett Fadley and all the gang up there. It's a growing show. As soon as we're done with that, it's time to start kicking into high gear for ASTA Expo. And we just met last week for the third of our planning and scheduling meetings about which courses are going to be offered, and assigning classrooms and scheduling and that kind of thing. We have 93 class slots for the Expo this year.
That's
and we
awesome.
had 120 some courses submitted. So
It's huge.
it's like, it's amazing. And the great thing about this new place that we're at, Brian, you haven't been to it yet, but it's the downtown Raleigh Convention Center. It's mammoth. So if we fill this out this year, we just get bigger next year, and we can expand multiple times before we expand to the capacity of this facility. Because they have events with 10,000 people at this facility, right? So, I'm super pumped about that. But one of the cool things that's going to be happening is, and we're 99% of the way there to be sure that it's going to happen. So I feel like I can talk about it on Thursday, because there's the primary event is Friday and Saturday, but there are add-on classes that you can get on Thursday. The crew from AvTech is going to be out there doing 2 different 4-hour courses back to back. But the first one is going to be EV safety certification, hands-on. So the didactic or the classroom portion is in the morning. And then there's going to be an EV in the hallway of the Expo, roped off. And if you took that class and passed the written test, you sign up for a time slot to take the hands-on test. And you can get your certificate, your hands-on
I'm going to register right
certificate
now
at the Expo.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. And so Dutch is going to be one of the he's going to attend, and he's going to be the first one to take the test. And assuming he doesn't fail, don't fail, Dutch. He's going to be one of the exam proctors, but he's going to do fine. So it'll be a mix of Dave Macholtz, Dutch, and Jim Kokonis will be proctoring the exams. And so if you're looking to get into the EV space, and you want to check some of those safety requirement boxes off, send your shop foreman or some of your techs to that Thursday class, and then they can take the hands-on certification exam at the Expo Friday or Saturday and get their safety certificate on site. They can take it home with them. So I think that's pretty awesome. Got a bunch of hands-on classes that we're going to be doing. A ton of management and ownership courses, a ton of marketing classes. We've got technical classes for apprentice and entry level, all the way up to high level master tech courses. I think we're going to have a couple of Spanish language courses. We're going to have a bunch of the community colleges and high school automotive programs around North Carolina are going to be there, showing off some of their projects, and their students are going to be there. This is going to be awesome. I'm super excited about it. The facility is awesome. It's new. It's up to date. The hotels that are available are awesome. There's tons to do because you're downtown, so there's tons of activities and restaurants and nightlife in walking distance. I'm just pumped up about it, so I wanted to give a shameless plug. And I knew that Neal would listen to that because Neal's also on the board of ASTA with us. Is going to be there. So, are you going to be there this year? I know that you were at a 20 group meeting last year.
I will be, absolutely.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it. And I want to say one more thing. This is, no longer, hasn't been for a while. It's not just a North Carolina thing. The attendees are from all over the country, and I'm really proud of what Mike's worked hard to build. It's becoming the preeminent training event in the Southeast.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable. The training there is unbelievable. The amount of people that attend, the networking, is pretty much.
I can confirm I did go check out the hotel lobby bar. It is large, lots of different seating areas, has a really good whiskey selection.
They don't close at 11, do they?
I would doubt it. It's downtown.
Okay, good.
Last time I was at that bar, it was at 1:30 in the morning on New Year's morning. So I've been downtown for New Year's Eve.
There are plenty of options within walking distance.
stumbling distance,
Yep.
Uber distance, whatever. But it's going to be badass. So
93 classes.
astaexpo.com, or you can go to astausa.org and follow the link there. But the website for the show itself is astaexpo.com. Check it out. Also, Brian, you haven't shared with us something that's gone horribly wrong in your business recently. I feel like we need a Pollock.
Horribly wrong? I mean, everything that goes wrong is terrible. I don't know.
I mean, your toolbox setup situation is embarrassing right now because the feng shui is all fucked up, and the jet ski, the snowmobile that you have on top of your toolbox is off center.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. The actual snowmobile's centered.
That's right. You heard it here first. He has a snowmobile on top of his toolbox.
It is a 78 John Deere Trailfire.
I think you need to get a 2001 Thundercat and put it up there.
Which one? Got a couple. Not a problem. Not a problem. Being in a farming community, we had a couple back and forth. It was going to get a 25 Articat catalyst at first for the summer. And then this John Deere came up, and, having a John Deere snowmobile in a farming community was obviously the marketing choice of the pros. So that got put up there. I do have to paint the pallet, but the actual machine itself is centered. Now, maybe I haven't showed you, I think Thursday or Friday, we have a couple forklifts, but none have side shift, and the easiest way to move that centered was side shift. And I went down at Unit Step, and I borrowed their Cat forklift because they have side shift, and I side shifted it over a little bit.
So,
which is sketchy because
it's
like 9
you're going to
foot
need
tall.
To post pictures of this setup in the group so that everyone can agree with me that until you get the pallet painted, it looks like
the pallet needs to be painted black. And I've heard a lot of suggestions, and I'm definitely open. If somebody else wants to show me their cooler snowmobile on their cooler toolbox, just send me a picture, man. That's fine. Yeah, show me how much cooler yours is.
Some of our Canadian listeners might be up for that challenge. So, all right. One last thing that I want to share before we let you go, Neal, and I know that this is really important to you to hear. You probably didn't listen to a recent episode where Brian talked about his foray into feetfinder.com where he sold pictures of his feet for money.
I did not. I missed it.
Successfully.
Successfully.
He made $150 off of selling pictures of his feet, and he got some custom requests. Someone requested that he take a video of his feet smushing into cream cheese. But reportedly, he did not actually follow through with that request. I'm saying that he should, but on our next episode that we record, we have a voicemail from the person who submitted the request for cream cheese.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to listen to the next episode to hear the voicemail from the person who submitted the cream cheese request.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. It's so good.
Oh, no.
And I'm not going to let you hear it. You're going to have to listen to it for the first time live.
Oh, no.
As we record.
Oh.
It's going to be great.
Well, is this the point now where we shift and talk about politics and religion?
Oh, I mean, we've talked about Brian's burgeoning OnlyFans career.
Yeah, the feet thing was just a stupid bet around a campfire that happened to work out, so it's kind of funny. It'll be my always claim to fame, how I put my ugly ass feet on the internet and made $150.
I think it's going to be quality content. I got to tell you, I feel like there's some shorts coming up. Anyway,
are we going to do that live at Tools in Pennsylvania?
Ooh. Well,
we play a recording?
We're recording with Tanika soon, so I thought that Tanika would be a good guest to have to listen to.
That poor thing.
The foot voicemail. I would have done it today, but I don't have it queued up appropriately in the in the app. So
I hate I missed it.
I'm happy to send it to you. But anyway, Neal, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, guys. It's a pleasure.
If we have a listener who falls into that 5-store or more tire heavy focus, how can they reach out to you?
Sure. You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can find us at treadpartners.com.
Okay. And Gain Traction Podcast with Mike Edge.
That's it. That's
awesome. Thanks, dude. I appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.